Do you continuously putting off important tasks? The issue is most likely caused by one of three factors: your routines and systems, or lack thereof, your desire to avoid bad emotions, such as anxiety and boredom, or your own incorrect thought processes, which can make a task seem harder than it is. Fortunately, there are straightforward ways for dealing with each. Do your key task in a consistent way every day, for example, to create healthy habits. This is followed by my deep work. Create a system for starting new tasks, based on one you've completed successfully. This will make it easier to get started. When a task makes you anxious, start with the easiest section and work your way up. Inspire yourself to accomplish a monotonous task by offering a reward for finishing it. If you're stuck in your head, ponder what would make a task impossible and then locate its inverse. The majority of us procrastinate. We feel bad about it and judge ourselves for it. Nonetheless, we continue to do it. Why? Because of at least three factors: a lack of good habits and systems, lack of discipline, intolerance for specific feelings, such as worry or boredom, and our own defective thinking patterns. When you understand the causes, you may devise solutions to address them. You may decrease little instances of procrastination, such as when you drag your feet and don't begin a project until it's almost due, and avoid the larger difficulties that your patterns of delay are producing. A common theory is that procrastination is the result of a lack of discipline. Procrastinators choose leisure and fun over hard work. A more modern variation of this explanation is that they don't have good systems and habits. Multiple studies have shown that strong habits reduce our need for self-control. They make it easier to stick to effortful behaviors and resist distractions. But the process of establishing a habit that confers such benefits usually takes a few months. To assess whether this is an issue for you, ask yourself, what habits do I have in place to tackle my most important tasks? If the answer is none, try these approaches. Schedule your deep work consistently. I define deep work as focusing on your most important long-term project. It might entail, say, crafting a business strategy, doing complex data analysis, or writing a book. Deep work is generally challenging, but doing it consistently each day, in a regular pattern, will make it less so. Habits make sequences of behavior more automatic. Consider that once we're no longer novice drivers, we don't consciously think about what we do whenever we get behind the wheel of a car. More complex habits like going to the gym or learning a language can also become more automatic. That happens through repetition and cueing. So you shouldn't attempt to do deep work at 11 o'clock in the morning one day and 3 o'clock in the afternoon the next. And even if the exact time you settle into it isn't the same, your deep work should fit into your day in the same pattern. After I do this, I do my deep work. For example, each day after spending up to an hour on email and administrative tasks, I start my deep work session. Your emotions. We tend to avoid tasks that elicit negative feelings. In psychology, avoidance and its close relative, rumination, are known as transdiagnostic variables, which means they are symptoms of many prevalent mental health issues. People who use avoidance methods to cope with stress are more likely to develop melancholy, anxiety, ADHD, and eating problems, creating a vicious cycle. As their mental health deteriorates, so does their avoidance. Even people who only occasionally feel depressed, unsure, or nervous about their jobs, or who can't stand the monotony or tension they cause, avoid occupations that elicit such feelings. During times of uncertainty, this response is amplified. You are more inclined to postpone when you are overwhelmed. Even simple chores, such as responding to emails, can appear intimidating in this state. To determine whether your emotions are the primary reason you put off work, consider the following. How is my mental health? Do the tasks I avoid elicit specific emotions? Are they boring, angry, worried, or resentful? To overcome procrastination in the long term, do the following. 1. Set specific and realistic goals. 1. For example, if you want to start exercising, a good goal might be able to run a full mile by the end of the month, while bad goals might be do some running, unspecific, and run a marathon by the end of the month, unrealistic. 2. Assess your procrastination. 2. First, identify cases in which you delay unnecessarily, to figure out what exactly you procrastinate on, for example, studying, and how you do it, for example, by browsing social media. 2. Then, think about those situations to also figure out where and when you procrastinate, for example, at home or the library, on starting or finishing tasks, in the morning or evening. 2. Finally, figure out why you procrastinate, for example, due to perfectionism, fear, anxiety, depression, ADHD, sensation seeking, or abstract goals, potentially after reading about why people procrastinate. 3. Create an action plan. 3. It should involve using relevant anti-procrastination techniques, which account for the goals that you set and the nature of your procrastination problem. 4. Implement your plan. 4. Make sure to reflect on your progress and refine your approach, primarily by figuring out which techniques work for you and how you can implement them most effectively. Anti-procrastination methods. Tasks should be broken down into manageable steps. For example, if you need to write a paper, you can divide it into phases such as selecting a topic, gathering sources, and writing the introduction. This unpacking strategy has a number of advantages, including the ability to help you plan your work and make enormous jobs feel less overwhelming. When utilizing it, it may be useful too. Only unpack a portion of the assignment at a time, for example, only your next 3 steps. Determine which stages you can complete in a single session, i.e., without requiring a break. Remember that the way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time, i.e., that you can handle big projects using a step-by-step approach. Set deadlines. For example, if you want to write a book but keep postponing it for years, you can set a deadline to finish the first draft of the first chapter within 2 weeks. Make tasks more enjoyable. For example, if you need to clean the house, you can make this boring task more fun by listening to music while you do it, and seeing how much you can get done in a 10-minute cleaning sprint. Make it easier to do things. For example, if you'll need to work on a document later, you can leave it open on your computer, so it will be immediately available when you start working. Identify and address your fears. People often procrastinate because they're afraid of something, like failing or being criticized. If this might be the case for you, then you should think through your situation to figure out what you're afraid of. Then, you can use various techniques to address your fears.